This is the best foundation I have tried in a long time. Today we are talking about the new Lancome Care and Glow foundation. It is now top shelf and I will be using it until they reformulate it because it is so good. So we're going to try it on. I'm going to show you how I apply it, what it looks like close up right after application. And I also have a 13-hour wear test for you. I wore this out. I've been wearing it every day, but I wore this out for 13 hours outdoors. I was walking around and I think that part of the video is going to speak for itself. So this is shade 105W, which according to the website is the lightest shade they have. Unfortunately, it is still a bit too dark for me, so I do use a white mixer. I'm almost out of this. I need to repurchase. This is the Face Atelier white mixer, but I've also used the LA Girl, which is available in Target and Ulta, and I love those mixers. But anytime you have a foundation that is too dark for you, you can always use a white mixer to make it match. And that is what I need to do with this. So that if there's any con, it's that even their lightest shade is still a bit too dark for me. However, what I do love about this shade, it's 105W, so that means it has warm undertones, which I do have, but I am very muted, meaning there's not a lot of saturation to my skin. One of my biggest issues with foundations at this light end of the spectrum is that so many of them just have a lot of pigment in them, meaning they're too saturated, and when I put them on my face, they truly don't match or they look like a mask, even if I have the undertone correct. And just for reference, I do have a light, warm olive undertone. I have a hint of green in me. What I like about this foundation is that it is not too saturated. It's actually quite a muted shade. So if you are struggling to find a foundation that is muted and doesn't have too much saturation in the pigments, this one is also a really great one to try, especially if you are like me and on this fair to light end of the spectrum. I normally use 2 to 3 pumps. I do need to mix quite a bit of white in there. Whew. Okay, maybe too much. You can also use a mixing tray. I just use the back of my hand because I'm lazy. But then I mix it and just look at that shade. Once I mix it, it is basically just going right into the shade of my hand, and that's what you want with a foundation. You want that foundation to look exactly like your skin tone, and that's what we're getting here. I'm going to use a beauty blender to apply. That's my preferred method, but since I have it on my hand, I'm just gonna apply like this first. So this is one coat, and as you can see, it has canceled out all of my redness. I have a lot of redness in this part of my face, and now I just look like I am one person. It's covered all of my scarring and acne, which there's not a lot of active acne right now, but I do have discoloration on my face, and that's another reason I love this so much. It's so lightweight, it feels like I have nothing on my skin, but it covers so well, and you saw that happening in real time. It's such a beautiful coverage level. It also sets decently well. I have always had a problem with foundations setting on my skin. I have to powder no matter what I do because I do have oily skin. It's quite dehydrated, but it's definitely on the oily side still. But this one I think sets really well. It's not transfer proof, but it definitely doesn't transfer as much as some of my other foundations. So typically I would next conceal any redness that I have that's still peeking through the foundation. And I will still need to do that a little bit on my jawline because that's where most of my scarring is right now. I'll do a little bit around my nose, but I don't really need to do much. And I love that too, because when I'm getting ready in the morning, if I have to use product after product after product to make my skin look flawless, or at least give the illusion of being flawless, that takes a lot of time. So I love foundations that I don't have to spend a lot of time perfecting. So now let me pull you in a little bit closer so we can see how this actually looks up close on my pores and just how it's making the skin look if you were right up close to my face. So as you can see, it is not highlighting my pores at all. I do have large pores, so nothing is going to change that. But it looks like skin, it's glowy. It never settles in my fine lines. It's such a beautiful foundation. So I'm gonna go finish off the rest of my makeup. And that's another thing with this foundation. It layers beautifully, meaning I can put powders, creams, liquids over it, and it doesn't budge, it doesn't pill on me, it just continues to look like this. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to insert my 13-hour check-in from the other day when I was wearing this foundation, and I think you'll see how amazing it looks even after that full day of wear. So it is now 7:00 p.m. I have had this makeup on since 6 a.m. and I was really active today. We were out at a balloon festival, and so I was doing a lot of walking around and we were really active, but it has not settled in my fine lines at all. It looks glowy, it looks natural, it looks like skin, it's moving with me. Oh, it is stunning. And here is today's finished look. I think this is one of my favorite makeup looks I have ever done, so I will list all of the products I've used in the description box. The foundation looks just as glowy, if not more glowy than it did before. I did lightly powder, but it's making me feel like I am having the best skin day ever, and when a foundation can do that, I know it's a good foundation.